With Gen AI, it's become easier and easier to create videos. Very cool, but also fake videos. And deepfakes. Today I'm joined by deepfake expert, CEO and co-founder of DuckDuckGoose AI, Parya Lotfi. Believing in what you're perceiving, that's the company motto. And she shares many stories of what can happen to businesses, but also to you and me. And things that have happened to businesses and to people like you and me. I love this conversation, so enjoy. I was on the way to the office and I was on Reddit because that's what I do to like relax and stuff. And I saw this video and it was like this seagull on a car dashboard and the guy throws a fry, but obviously the fry is like behind the window screen. And then all of a sudden the seagull bursts through and grabs the fry. And I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? And I go in the comment section and people are like, well, this is AI generated, obviously. And then other people said the beginning of the video is not even, that's real.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden switches to AI.
Yeah.
That's also what caught me because I was like, what the hell is this video? And then it burst through the window. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's getting very subtle right now.
That's true.
To a point where it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are mixing reality with fakeness using AI.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful actually, because indeed the first thing that you see is like something real, something familiar to you. So you would believe it. And then all of a sudden it changes. And the chances that you would, for example, also believe that part right now is higher. And that's also why we say the difference between what is real and what is fake is getting every day like more and more fake, basically.
Can you also do like, if you have a video, can you do part of a video frame and then fake that part as well?
Yeah, what happens right now also with these very accessible large language models like ChatGPT and the others is that you can upload one single frame picture.
Okay.
And it's going to make it fully like a moving, basically video for you.
Yeah.
Based on what you have been uploading. I've seen a couple of examples of what you mentioned basically just yet, but that was with more like in a setup of like politicians.
Okay.
They were all sitting, Trump, Biden, etc. The first part was real, and then in the second part, all of a sudden they started fighting. Like they started basically fighting, and I was like, whoa, what did I just watch? What did happen here? And that's basically also how they play around with such technology to not only make funny and nice things out of it, but also really fraudulent and with bad purposes, with bad intentions, basically. And that's basically also where this dangerous part comes in. I'm not sure if you have seen it, but there was an interview of Sam Altman, I think yesterday or the day before, where he also mentioned it's unbelievable that these days we still rely on facial biometrics, voice biometrics to, for example, do very high security jobs such as logging into your bank account, transferring money, and also for normal communication ways that we have. Like we FaceTime the whole time, basically, right? We use Zoom, we use Teams. And also in those scenarios, it's very likely that someone using only open source technology, can impersonate someone else. And this can happen in a business setup or context, but it can also happen to a mother who receives a call from their child saying, Mom, I got kidnapped. You should pay this amount to this person or this bank account, and then they will let me go. And you can imagine with that, emotional state of mind, what you would do. Of course, you would I think a high chance that you would do what they ask for.
Yeah.
And this is becoming our reality.
This is already the case? Like you can already do stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's unbelievable, but you can already do stuff like that, also on a big scale. So the difference when it comes to generative AI-based image and video manipulation and generation compared to traditional ways of doing it, because it's been there always, right? We have some pictures of Stalin, basically with his friends, and then all of a sudden the friend was gone from the picture because they were not friends anymore.
Yeah.
So those were
removed.
Removed from the history. So those were for example, the first types of image manipulation. It's always been there. The difference right now is that it is so much more scalable and so much easier for everyone to be able to make it. We have seen cases where mostly also in the US, but also in the Netherlands, you would receive a call or a voice note on WhatsApp from someone, a loved one, and then they claim things like I just mentioned. I received also a call lately from it was clearly an AI voice. I received this call. It looked like a normal number, so I was like let me just answer. And then it said in Dutch, hey, I think it also knew my name. That was really surprising. hey Parya, just wanted to know if you're interested in buying houses and real estate in Almere. I was like, wow, what is this? And the goal of the basically voice behind the phone was to make an appointment with me.
Okay.
Which I didn't understand because it was like an AI voice clearly, and then making an appointment with me. I'm like, why is
What's
that?
the purpose?
Yeah, what's the purpose of it? Or maybe they just wanted to hear my voice. That's also possible.
Oh, really?
Because
Yeah.
that's also really dangerous because nowadays they only need like maybe 3-4 seconds of someone's voice to be able to generate a perfectly realistic sounding clone of it. So this podcast,
This is horrible for me. It's horrible for you.
That's true. Yeah.
I think about but like for me, I don't feel like those types of technologies are very accessible, at least for me. I tried to play around with like video editing software.
Yeah.
I don't edit the podcast anymore. I used to. So I was still playing around with it. And I saw that the software that I use had this AI functionality. Seamless transition. And we use Gen AI to do so.
That's true.
So it's like, okay, I have my podcast. I'll just cut and exactly the same frame. I'll put a little bit after and then I'll just have Gen AI in the middle. That's what I thought. And it's just me reacting like this. And then all of a sudden I basically blurp out in a weird way. I was like, what is this? And then it just snaps back to the frame that's real life. So it didn't look great. I could clearly see something's wrong. But then I do see examples online that it's like very, very specific.
Yeah.
And I have to double check and I have to, because I mainly see these on like Twitter and Reddit and more community-based things, I have to go to the comment section and other people have to educate me what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
That's scary.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're working on software to signal that, to at least see what is real and what is fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we do. So we basically use AI to catch AI in that sense. At DuckDuckGoose, we develop explainable but also generalizable AI technologies that would help human beings, companies, citizens, everyone basically to be able to distinguish what is fake from what is real when it comes to the digital world.
How do you do that? Like, can I say me with the AI to actually create this? Can I also have the same AI say, is this real or fake? Because I've tried that. Yeah. It's not as good.
You have trained your own system?
No, I haven't trained my, like I, for example, I received on Twitter sponsorships opportunities. I wrote a LinkedIn post about that. It got pretty close actually, because they can now generate a website and there it's like, oh, you have to do this digital signature.
Yeah.
And it downloaded something on my computer and I was like, oh, that's a red flag. Oh. And then I thought, okay, everything in this conversation, there were many signals of red flags, but because the companies were super cool and the people had Twitter accounts, which were verified for years with post history. And I could see they have LinkedIn accounts and they're actually people that work there, that I thought it was real.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell myself it was real.
Yeah.
But in the end, when it came to a digital signature, I'm not going to download a program from some, if I look at the domain, a weird subdomain that is like a tool that I've used in the past, but it's not really the real thing.
Yeah.
Like those are all signals to me.
Yeah.
And then I asked, because one of them said, okay, you have to sign this NDA. It wasn't here's the contract, let's sign. It was you first have to sign this NDA.
Yeah.
I got the NDA. And the first thing I did was I added it to my ChatGPT at the time. And I was like, is this real or fake? And they were like, well, there's not many reasons to think this is like fake. So it could be real. I'm like, what are the reasons? And then it laid out the things that are excluded or like omitted that for me made total sense.
Yeah.
How long is the NDA valid? For which specific things does it make sense? Yes or no? Some legal things that were missing. So I was like, okay, like all those signals, and even my AI, which was likely the same AI that they used to create an NDA in the first place, said, okay, it could be real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's indeed. Now I understand what you're saying. I think it sounds almost also like organized crime. People setting up websites and trying to get others to communicate with or do something else with them. When it comes to large language models like ChatGPT, being able to distinguish what is fake, we have seen indeed also research being done regarding that. The only difference is that these models, they are general transformers, let's say, and they are really good in pattern recognition when it comes to text, but when it comes to videos, pictures, and even like NDAs that you mentioned, specifically asking them, is this fake or real, might not be that effective because they are not really meant for that purpose. And that's the difference between, for example, your question that you asked to chat versus our systems. We have been out there for 5 years almost right now. And that was also really pre-ChatGPT era, before it got really popular and everyone started using it. And what we have done throughout these years is basically training our very specific deepfake systems for very specific purposes of catching different types of deepfakes, with the biggest basically also uniqueness to be able to explain as to why a video, a picture, or audio is seen as a deepfake.
You can explain why.
We can explain what kind of reasoning the neural network is following to come up with that conclusion.
Interesting.
And AI being explainable is not really common, of course. It's one of the biggest challenges in this world right now, since AI is by design like kind of a black box.
Like magic.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't know what's happening. Also at Detector, we are trying to kind of understand what are the reasonings behind this trace of thought. And we visually also show that to the end user. So when you have, for example, a face swap or this bird that you mentioned going through a window getting this fry, we could, for example, make our users see which parts of this video have been manipulated specifically and which type of deepfake generation is behind this manipulation or creation, being generation basically. So in that sense, we are really specialized in basically detection of deepfakes. And with deepfakes, we basically mean every type of audiovisual media that has either been manipulated or completely generated using AI technologies.
Yeah.
In comparison to ChatGPT, which is more, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
Okay, it's silent now. Which is more like a general type of AI for general usage scenarios.
And when you said it could kind of explain which type of deepfakes have been applied to what you're seeing, are you then saying audio, video as type, or even within video, there's subtypes?
Within video even. So because we use this comparison, like deepfake generation techniques just pop up like mushrooms from the ground, like everywhere. On a daily basis, you have tens of new deepfake generation techniques only from the scientific world basically coming. And then let alone what happens if people who are also maybe part of organized crime groups have bad intentions to use deepfakes to maybe open bank accounts or scam companies, scam individuals. So in that sense, it's very important for us to know how a certain deepfake has been made to also work on our threat intelligence part. So when it comes to, for example, a single frame, simple image, that can be a deepfake, but it's a different type of deepfake when you have a face swap deepfake. So you can right now take a picture of me and put your face on my face. So then we are kind of, blended. Sorry. And the other type would be, for example, generating a completely non-existing human in that sense, not a picture anymore, but something that has been created by a neural network.
Yeah.
So we can, for example, tell that this image has been fully synthesized, or this image is partly real, partly face swap, or partly lip sync when it comes to videos to make someone say something that they never have said. That's basically usually a lip sync deepfake video, where you then have mostly this part of the face manipulated to make it synchronized to the certain audio that you want to put on the video itself.
Fascinating. How much education do you need to do to your customers or organizations in general with regards to this? Because I can imagine a big difference between kind of pre-Gen AI era and now, because I saw this video just online. So I am aware of the possibilities, or at least I have a lot of assumptions in what is possible and what is not, but also I'm in the tech scene. I don't know many organizations that are not, but let's say more traditional banks that do have IT capabilities and they have a very low risk appetite. So maybe they are more aware, but companies that don't have that, they can be like, well, why would it hit us? Like what would be interesting for us in this aspect?
Yeah. So once we started 5 years ago, we basically had to explain to everyone, like 99% of our interactions, we had to explain or start by explaining what a deepfake actually is. Right now, there is much more awareness regarding what generative AI is, what deepfakes is, thanks to ChatGPT-ish programs and tools, basically. We still need to touch upon every relevant use case for the person or the company that we are talking to that has approached us to make them understand to what extent they can already be exposed to these deepfake-based or Gen AI-based fraud types. And it starts with like individuals getting, a deepfake call from their loved ones, but also a teenager being put in an 18+ non-consensual video, up to market manipulations, fake news that we all know about, and even like stealing money from banks up to millions. Aside from the ones that have made it to the headlines, we have seen several cases, like even Dutch small, medium enterprise companies. They're also getting targeted by a voice that calls them that sounds like their colleague asking for either information or money. And this basically showcases that the scale that this is happening right now already is a real threat. It's not theoretical anymore. We see it also happening a lot in flows that you have lots of volumes of data. As I said, just with the Sam Altman example, he just said, why are you still using face for authentication and identification? It's still a very secure way, it seems like, but it is not, because deepfakes, Gen AI, are basically able and capable of mimicking all these, human-like characteristics that we have in a video or in a picture. And what happens usually, of course, you use your face, your voice to be able to open a bank account along with your passport picture. And when it comes to, for example, also banks and neobanks, they have on a daily basis thousands of new clients that want to, open a new bank account, and maybe like tens of thousands that want to log into their account as well. And they use facial biometrics. So in that sense, we also see a lot of deepfakes coming in to basically be able to make an account based on a non-traceable identity, using like a picture of a non-existing person along with a fake passport. And then they use that to be able to open a bank account. And it doesn't stop there. Once they find a method, these people with bad intentions, to basically open that account, they go ahead and open maybe tens or hundreds of them. And they eventually use it for really bad purposes, such as money laundering. And then from there on, also supporting organized crime even more. And that's one of the flows that we see lots of deepfakes, basically up to 10% on a daily basis in peak times coming up. And that's only one use case, let's say, with remote identification and authentication. We also had cases in which people, like individual people, maybe also more vulnerable groups of society, calling us saying, I just heard you talking on the radio. I have a girlfriend online, never seen her.
Oh no.
But I send money to her because she
needs it.
She needs it.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it got me thinking, can you please check it for me? And of course we went along, we checked, and we said, please don't send money again to this person, because, it's she's a deepfake.
So
which is...
This use case I understand, because they reached out to you.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the other use cases, the more, let's say, bigger scale fraud, how do you know these things already exist? Like, how do you get your information? Because if I'm a bank and this happens, I wouldn't want to publish this, because I'll become a target, and it's kind of a shame thing.
Yeah.
How do you know these cases exist in the first place?
Yeah, so that's basically by applying technology, and also it's all starts first with a simple question: am I exposed already?
Yeah,
and that's a very powerful question, I would say, because if you'd go ahead and say, it doesn't happen to me, it's still a technology that needs to mature first, and then maybe it will happen to me, and once it happens, then I will take action. You can also do that, but it's like, I would say it's not really a smart way of dealing with new types of fraud, specifically in this age of AI and everything automated.
Yeah, you want to prevent, not
exactly.
react.
Yeah, you want to prevent, monitor mostly as well, because cybersecurity on its own is really, it's like, it's a cat and mouse game. You have these fraudsters. They're also usually very clever people, also collaborative. It was surprising to me, because one of the most prominent reasons that we see so many deepfakes in banking flows, for example, is that on the Darknet, but also on some other places and online sources, you have groups of people basically brainstorming together what types of deepfakes, what types of material and input material is useful to be able to spoof a bank's identity verification system. And they basically
They discuss this?
They discuss
you
this
can see this?
on the Darknet. You can see, if you know which channels
If
to
you know where to
monitor.
look. Yeah.
And once they also find this way, they don't stop by only using it themselves, but they go ahead and monetize their knowledge.
Oh shit, it's a business.
Yeah, it's a real... And when I heard this, I was like, it was a couple of years ago, I was like, I wouldn't buy deepfakes from these criminal people on the Darknet, right? Because you can give them your money, even though it's a small amount
scamming
of
other
money.
people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They can scam me, and then they can get away with it. And I cannot go to the police because I bought it in the dark. No customer service. But apparently they do have a customer service.
I know. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's real. It's like for real. I talked to an expert who is following also along what we do. And he was like, yeah, if the deepfakes don't work for your purpose, so you cannot open this bank account, you can go back to them and they will give you a new one, or they will give your money back.
Man, that's good customer service. They know
That's
their
their work
business.
ethics, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically knowing what's happening on the other side, being the criminal people side, and then basically trying to answer this simple question of to what extent are we already exposed? What should we protect ourselves from? And once you do that, there is already technology that you can put in place, like the one that we developed, but also other things, of course, other methods that you can apply. And to basically train your, staff, train your own mindset regarding this new reality that we have right now, the fake reality. And in that sense, when you start monitoring, then you see things happening. And then you can also, once you do that, you can preventively stop things from happening instead of letting these people make this bank account first and then letting them put their money on, their black money usually, and wait for anti-money laundering systems to get triggered, and then you're going to offboard them. You also do a lot of investigations before. And once this starts happening on scale, you also have big problems with, of course, legislation as a bank, taking that as an example. And really high fines, basically. So in that sense, your reputation is also in danger. Your own, systems and the flows are in danger. It's a very interesting and also can get very dark because we heard that it's happening in South America a lot as well, in Europe too, but in South America, they are really creative when it comes to using deepfakes. And the cartels and mafia groups there basically use it so once they have this golden way of opening accounts based on non-traceable deepfake identities, they make hundreds of them. And on every account, they will put a small amount of their black money, which is basically millions or billions even, to make sure that the AML systems are not getting triggered. And it looks like a normal bank account. It looks like normal bit of a couple of thousands of money being put on it. And then they use it for human trafficking purposes, for supporting terrorism purposes, which is, of course, really really bad thing, I would say.
Yeah. It's I agree, it has become way more accessible than it used to be.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to find and create a video that looks real, I could probably achieve it. As a means to an end, I could do that. And then it's looking from the other side, how do you prevent that? Because accessibility is huge.
Exactly.
Now, everyone can do things, and people with questionable morals will do questionable things. And then you're there. You already mentioned there's stuff being discussed on the dark web. So you also talk to experts, and you can also do kind of your own investigation. Is that usually how you think of the perspective that these people have? People with questionable morals, the fraudsters, the people that are scamming other people?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're thinking. It's basically, it's another way of course, utilizing technology for your own purposes, which might seem good to you.
Yeah.
But of course, the person that got scammed, they are not happy.
No.
For sure. So in that sense, technology is open source and it's basically a neutral thing. So you have a lot of deepfake tools out there, applications that you can just download. You can use it for funny purposes, but you can also try to use the same tool or try to use basically the tool maybe in a modified way for your own bad purposes. So about that, we cannot do anything, I would say, drastically effective.
No.
You cannot really prevent. That was actually one of the aspects that a couple of years ago, the Dutch government contacted us about, saying we are investigating ways to be able to prevent deepfake technology online. And my co-founder and I were like, even though if you do that, how are you going to enforce that? How are you going to ban all those applications, all those websites, all those open source code that is being put on GitHub? So it's basically not doable. And when it comes to specific dangerous use cases, of course, there are things that you can do. And also, Patrick, one of the things that we see is that it's still a new phenomenon and people are trying to kind of figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes, usually we see companies that want to take measures. They're like, we actually want to do it, but there's no legislation yet that kind of, motivates us more to be able to go ahead with, for example, putting technology in place to be able to detect deepfakes. On the other side, legislation is really slow when it comes to coming with new aspects for, protection regarding new technologies like deepfakes. And then in the meantime, we have normal citizens, so not the private company world anymore, but normal citizens also suffering once a teenage girl, gets deepfaked in front of her whole school, and then they eventually end up depressed and humiliated, basically. And the question in that sense is where do you start investigating this problem? And I would say us having been in this space for 5 years, it's actually a problem that we would need to collaborate a lot on together to, first of all, identify the scope in each vertical, in each place of the society, and then see how, together with, of course, education and technology used in the right place, we can come up with a new framework to deal with this new fake reality, as I just said. I was also seeing some deep fakes lately with all these wars going on, around the world. One of the things, of course, that we need to also ensure is the integrity of news and media, right? So we see videos, coming from Iran, where I'm also originally from, by the way, with this war that was there, the 12-day war, or Gaza, or African countries that are also in war. And then you see, like, I saw literally a couple of deepfakes being published from these bombings in Tehran, in Iran, only because it was the deepfake basically was supporting the framing of this news channel. And it got me really thinking, like, if these news channels that all have their own framings, I was following different channels when this 12-day war was ongoing between Iran and Israel, because I wanted to get a lot of information. I still have a lot of family living in Iran.
Yeah.
They're all good, by the way, for now. I saw clearly the difference between a lot of media channels that I was following, and then them using two of them, using deepfakes on their social media and on their other channels to basically support their own point without questioning even, is it real or is it not? I'm not sure if they made deepfakes themselves, maybe not, but they published it and they do have a big audience. And that got me really thinking that, yeah, it's basically weaponized, they can weaponize it to basically also achieve bigger purposes, to mislead people, spread disinformation.
We're back to like proper propaganda.
Exactly. Yeah. And this got me thinking, like, if we don't do anything properly about it soon, our reality will become everything that we see digitally is fake, unless the otherwise has been proven. The contradictory has been proven. And then that will be, it's not fake, it's real. But again, that's also a complicated question. So how would you prove if something is real or not?
Yeah, this is getting really scary. Like pre-internet era, you had the newspaper and there wasn't as much global knowledge. Whatever was in your newspaper was the truth. And then it's very easy to have one source of information and then have propaganda there as well. Then it's decentralized, because with the internet, I can go on Twitter and I see people posting things. I'm like, well, that's a different lens, right? And those people are maybe more accurate and maybe more there. And now with general availability of deep fakes and it being more accessible, there's going to be a lot of noise out there. Like, where is then the truth? I think it's going to be incredibly scary. If you're working on cybersecurity, it's not a domain I'm very much involved in nor aware of. But for any technology that you use that is kind of preventative, these fraudsters are like your audience. And I feel like you need to know your audience to be able to reenact a scenario. If you're developing a piece of software, you can't really user test with fraudsters. It's like, you have to know your audience. How do you develop something that is preventative in nature like this?
Yeah, that's a great question. At DuckDuckGoose, we do have a lot of red teaming activities. So it's basically us trying to think as these criminals. And
is that what red teaming is? Thinking is okay.
Yes, and then you kind of try to attack, the defense systems based on that. And then we have also our blue team that tries to, it's basically this cat and mouse game.
Gotcha.
So that helps a lot, because we really need to understand the mindset of the people who have intentions to attack, some system or some person, some company. Otherwise, you just blindly develop technology, and then once you put it in production, you'll see, it's not working. And of course, a lot of monitoring, as I said at the beginning, that would help too, because this threat intelligence that we are gaining right now comes partly from indeed these conversations that we see happening on Darknet and these great customer services that they have, but also in production environments. Once we are monitoring data and indeed trying to identify deepfake types that are being used to make these deepfakes that we are seeing in production, that helps a lot in basically trying to adapt our strategy as well when it comes to designing our defenses. Yeah.
Which topics do you focus on? Because you mentioned a lot of things, right? It can go from large-scale fraud in banking, and I've also seen many posts online because getting a job in tech is now harder. People are being laid off. People that are graduates are finding it harder to get their first job. Might even automate something with AI to apply to jobs and like fake a voice thing and get through a first screening call. I feel like all of it's fraud.
that's happening already.
That's happening already as well.
There was last year, I think, or the year before even, this American cybersecurity company. Before they published a blog written by the CEO saying that they mistakenly onboarded a North Korean spy as a new remote employee.
Yeah, big whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really nice that they're being open about it. And they also, right before this person was about to do these fraudulent activities, they caught the person, so that was good.
Yeah.
But in the whole process, the person used a deepfake face, apparently, to be in those Zoom calls or Teams calls. I don't know which platform, because it's possible with all of those platforms to join as a deepfake.
It doesn't matter.
I even have a deepfake mask. And
okay.
Yeah, I don't have it with me right now, but we use
Wait, what does that mean?
It's basically if I would put you in a Teams call right now, you can get my face and then join.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
can we do that after? I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to call, I need to call a colleague.
We can even, like, if we take your face right now from this video recording on YouTube later on, we can also train a model that is able to mimic your face in a Zoom or Teams call.
Okay.
So
I might do a separate clip.
Yeah. So look at the camera as well. For 10 seconds, that's enough.
See. Yeah, wow.
So yeah, it's happening already in terms of remote job applications. There is even like a whole North Korean, I think, group of people doing this, attacking American companies. And in the case of KnowBe4, they only found about it once they sent this person the hardware of their company so he could start working.
Mm-hmm.
And then they saw that he is trying to inject malware basically into the system, and that's the point where they blocked it. So yeah, it happens already a lot. And if you have like a company that is sensitive to lose information, like ASML or other companies, let's say, and there is like a shortage of stuff as well, so you would tend to maybe remotely hire people, then there is a good chance that you have a deepfake. And also, to answer your question, where do we focus on right now? For us, it's mostly the fintech and the financial use cases, along with video conferencing as well. So, and that's mostly also for companies that are required and also desirable to have high security measures basically in place. On the other side, if there are requests such as this person that I mentioned calling us saying, I have a girlfriend, can you tell me if she's real or not? We also do that. We have like a specific team taking a look at those requests as well. The ultimate goal that Dr. Goose has is to become, in 3 to 5 years, become a platform that everyone, not only banks, but everyone can use basically to go there to see if the video, the picture, the audio that they are seeing or hearing digitally is real or not. And that also includes citizens. Yeah.
I feel like everyone now, especially in tech, in kind of the onboarding process, is dealing with some form of AI.
Yeah.
Indeed, it could be someone that's not really the real person. It could be someone whose voice is different. It could be someone that's not even that same person and just another person doing the onboarding thing, which is not even really AI. It could be something that someone uses with regards to kind of asking a question real quick to AI and then reading from a screen or a script or something like that. I feel like onboarding is right now already being kind of compromised, let's say.
That's true.
Exebia, we have a 8-hour assessment. It used to be 8 hours. Likely with AI, it's no longer. And we were like, well, should we prevent people from using AI? Because we do use AI to be more productive.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, we will allow people to use AI. But we will kind of frame our questions and then that interview round with the assumption that people have used AI.
Yeah.
And if they use AI with a certain technology, we already have pre-prompted kind of our prompts.
Yeah.
So we can say, tailor it to this technology, and we can then compare outputs. Because then we can see if our AI has this, and this, it takes us X amount of hours. This person has delivered this in 8 hours. What are the differences? And then we specifically can ask questions on those.
Yeah.
But that's because we're aware of this. We're already changing our onboarding.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not aware, then even kind of changing your onboarding is not there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. I would say trying to ban AI usage or tell people you're not allowed to use it. Also, even like students at universities or in, I have a cousin, she's 11, even she lives in Paris, she uses ChatGPT for her homework.
Yeah.
So I would say it's like maybe the time that these digital calculators came, we couldn't also say to people like, don't use it. I would say it's a tool that we can use to become more efficient. Right now, if you use Chat or Cloud or Perplexity, it cannot write a good quality report for you on a specific topic, being cybersecurity when it comes to Gen AI. But you can use it as something much faster than Google to come up with relevant sources when it comes to Perplexity, for example, to have your, database of, papers, knowledge that you want to gather. And then based on that, you can maybe even ask ChatGPT to summarize it for you, because I think ChatGPT is better in summarizing that than Perplexity. You can use those insights to make your own work faster, but I wouldn't really right now, with this stage of, the quality that they have, trust an AI to write an essay for me or write a code for me, basically. Right now, we do use a lot of AI for more like, indeed, what you said, junior level of programming. Cloud mostly. It's like, I think, €160 a month for the professional version, and you have like a kind of a junior, AI assistant there. The code is suitable for example, front end. But if you want to use it for the back end, you shouldn't actually. Unless you have a senior person, for example, like we have in the team, that looks really at the code to see, if everything is good and okay and scalable for later. If you want to change things, is it in good quality and changeable later, and then deploy that code. So it's kind of basically there to make things faster, but definitely not to replace, I would say, for now. On the other hand, I also heard, for example, the Big Four have always been really targeting fresh graduates and even like interns, graduate interns, fresh out of the university. Right now, apparently what I read is that in the UK, they completely stopped doing it because of AI. They're like, junior work can be done by AI.
Yeah.
It sounds scary. It's also maybe for us as human beings like, my job is not necessarily, needed anymore. On the other hand, I think it's an opportunity for us to become better in other things. I mean, the same thing also happened in like 1800s, right? With the Industrial Revolution, you had machines, they were faster. Yeah. And it was like that people are kind of only serving these machines, but then we got the chance to become better in technology, right? We started making these tools, and right now, look, we are where we are. And without those machines, it wouldn't maybe have been possible, because we would still be doing, a lot of job with our hands and not even automated. So I compare it to the same, basically what happened also 200 years ago, but then the scale is much faster, and it's that's maybe why people are scared.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I think so. With digital, we had digital natives, and I feel like with generative AI, you're gonna have people that are very well equipped, that are not afraid to try out new tooling, that can be very effective, maybe from a learning and education standpoint, and can get up to a certain level that they need to be effective very, very quickly. Or they maybe don't have the same depth, but they can go really wide and they know a lot about a lot of topics. I feel like now more than ever, the way to distinguish yourself, if you're starting out, if you're early in career, is to indeed find your skill set, find what you're really good at, and leverage whatever tooling is out there to distinguish yourself from others. Yeah. It's just, there's a lot of people and the technology is ever accessible.
True.
But I do think we need to create software, and all companies will still live in a digital era to create things.
Yeah.
And likely, this is kind of my hope, a lot of companies are kind of creating the same thing, slightly different, and making money with it. Yeah. I hope it also enables people to create new things and unique things and innovate.
Yeah. Then I think companies will be unstoppable. They are just developing things. We have Anthropic, OpenAI, all of them, Google, Microsoft. The next big thing that the Western world is talking about is artificial general intelligence, of course. That's like artificial intelligence that is not only statistical models, but human-like. I'm not sure what you think about that, but I would say that's something that personally scares me. So if I saw a video on LinkedIn, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was this robot in a Chinese factory who was able to replace its own battery.
Oh, okay.
And it was really
like a self-surgery. Yeah.
And like, it's maybe like a first mini step in basically preventing yourself from shutting down because of battery shortage. So you replace your own battery. And then, so AGI, if possible ever, combined with these robotics, that scares me personally. Yeah. What do you think?
I mean, so in a vacuum, I'm a very logical, objective person. I don't think we know enough about our own intelligence and like the human brain, the perception of the world, the perception of interactions, what thought actually is, where does that live? Exactly. I mean, we know it from a brain perspective, but what does it actually mean? What happens when we die and stuff like that? Yeah. We are so unaware. Like even how the body works, the fact that we have placebo is incredibly interesting. Yeah. So then how can we, the fact that we don't know everything, create something that will kind of supersede intelligence? I don't know. Like in my head, that doesn't add up. Yeah. I know right now a lot of models are just prediction models. is like a huge decision tree. I cannot even comprehend the decision trees.
Yeah.
And sure, it might be really good at math. And I'm really bad at that level of math. And maybe that's sad. But that's also what computers are good at. Like, it makes sense. It's very black and white to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And yeah, prediction models are still prediction. That's why we have now non-deterministic code and non-deterministic features, is because we don't know what's going to come out.
Yeah.
We can't predict. Well, we have a high likelihood, but that's Gen AI for me right now.
Yeah.
So I don't see it evolving to that unless proven otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What about you?
I think I mostly agree with you. I was thinking about this myself as well. The like AGIs everywhere. I was like, okay, but have you ever defined what intelligence actually means? That we're creating the artificial version of it. The human brain is so complex. I used to listen a lot to Andrew Huberman, and he's a neuroscientist trying to make information about our brain accessible to everyone by explaining it in his podcast in a more simple way. But like, neuroscientists like himself, and also including Andrew Huberman, are already saying we know only so little about the human brain, and indeed placebo, a lot of other things as well. So I don't know how and when we will be able to develop something that is really human-like. But if it happens, in theory, I'm not sure if we will see it. Maybe maybe after our lifetimes. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. This could also age very poorly. It's like in a few months, it's like, oh, we're actually quite close. Yeah, well, who knows?
That could be. That's also one of the aspects of this modern world. It's really unpredictable. So
Yeah. With things that move super quickly, Google can release something which all of a sudden creates a new version of generative AI in videos. Looks super realistic.
Yeah.
Things are moving quite well and quite fast in a high quality manner.
Yeah.
How do you as a company kind of try and maneuver, oh, this thing pops up. Do we actually do something for this?
Yeah.
Do we need to focus on what we were doing?
Yeah.
Do we really need to account for this now? How do you make those priority calls?
That's a great question. So also things like AGI, agentic AI, like everywhere, at every event that we go, it's either about Gen AI, Deepfakes, AGI, or agentic AI. Sometimes also about stablecoin. But it's like, I'm like, is this like only hype? Why is everyone talking about it? And I would say personally, I think right now every startup that I see out there, also in the Netherlands, is about something agentic basically. And it could also be because of the hype, but I would say maybe in 5 years time, maybe like 60% of these agentic AI applications won't be there because they started right now, and then later on we'll see, oh, the usage is not really that optimized, and let's not do it anymore. On the other hand, I heard in countries like China, they are much more, instead of throwing out these hype or maybe glamorized terminology such as agentic AI or AGI, they mostly are focusing on which parts of our society and of our normal daily works can we improve using automation, using indeed prediction models instead of going with the hype. That's also more the mindset that I personally have together with our team as well. So we are right now, as I said, deepfake technology, Gen AI technology is evolving really fast. And the video that you mentioned just yet with this bird example is maybe that's something that we should be able to catch in 5 years. But right now there is not really any harmful activity behind it. So in that sense, we also distinguish a lot of context, saying, okay, in that sense, there's a new type of deepfake. Should we be able to catch it or not? Is it harmful, first of all? Is it something that is bad for our clients and for our basically people that are trusting DuckDuckGoose to catch their fraudulent AI-based activities? And that's one of the questions that we basically go back to a lot. When it comes to all the other, words.
Hype.
Hypes. Thank you. It kind of indeed, I get this question a lot, like, are you scared for indeed Google developing something? Not sure. Yeah, if they do it, that's like kind of a maybe validation, that even more validation that what we are doing is really useful at DuckDuckGoose. And I would also be like, it's kind of a strategy, of course. You can also, merge with these companies and do things on a bigger scale. Right now, there are lots of investment in the counterpart of what we are doing, being the generation part. And the detection also, of course, needs to be there to make sure that these generation techniques that are out there and everyone can use them are not really used for, bad purposes.
Yeah. I mean, from a personal sense, you were working on this 4 or 5 years ago, right? No one was talking about it. There were probably some videos that all of a sudden proved that, oh, this is a thing. But now with Gen AI, things have accelerated. As you mentioned, investments in the fact that we are able to do this and that it's accessible, that I only have to swipe my credit card and I can do something similar is insane.
Yeah.
Prevention needs to kind of also have the same acceleration. And you were already there and now you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, is the team super excited to work on these things? You don't need to educate customers as much. It's completely different.
Yeah, exactly. It's really nice. I would say. So once we started Dakdakus, we were still at the university, and of course it was like starting part time, really only. And it, for example, also caused me to be able to get my my school paper later, for example. But if I would go back, I would choose it like 100 times again and again and again. It's such an incredible journey, being able to have a team of really ambitious people together with your co-founders, with the other team members, working on something so innovative, so challenging as well, because deepfake detection, I would say, is maybe one of the most challenging problems that we have right now in the world of AI, computer vision, etc., cybersecurity. And being able to work on that, being able to see that your product is being used by banks, basically, and you give them value, it's really, it's really a next level feeling for me, I would say. So I'm really grateful that we decided to start Dakdakus like 5 years ago from a university project. And yeah, I sometimes also go still to TU Delft University of Technology, to talk to students. And I always would say, if you have this ambition in you that you would like to create something for yourself, just go for it. And you can even start during your student time. I was lately at a talk where also parents were there. So I was like, okay, shall I say this? Because parents usually don't like their children to. I was like, okay, I will say it. So there were, I think, 200 parents plus 200 children.
To like start a company and don't worry about school too much. You said that?
Kind of a bit.
That's quite funny.
I said, parents, sorry, but
yeah. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah. So I would say it's really incredible, and there are, of course, ups and downs. It's difficult. It's challenging. But I sometimes, or usually, enjoy solving those challenges. Like there was a time 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that everything was quite stable. You know, things went okay. It was good.
This is before Gen AI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Before things exploded.
Before things started exploding, exactly. And I was like, I would like to have, a problem. I would like to solve a problem. So I was like, okay, universe, give me a problem to solve. And then I got 2 problems, 2 big problems to solve. But even like solving those big problems was really enjoyable. And after that, I felt so empowered together with the team. And you can see sometimes also, of course, you get tired, and we are all humans. But then you have your team that I've also had days that I was like, I'm tired, just feeling tired. But then I was like, yeah, I will just continue only for our team. We have these amazing people in the team, my amazing co-founders. So we'll do it together. So it's also this feeling of connectedness, being in this together, being united.
I love that a lot. I also love how full circle it went with you then educating kind of your journey to other people. You mentioned in there that this part of cybersecurity, detecting fraud in this manner with regards to deepfakes, is also becoming super challenging.
Yeah.
And I only have assumptions because I can see there's a lot of investment here. From my human eye, I can see some distinguishments, but I go to a comment section. I use the community to figure out what is real and what is not real, which is not really a great signal, which means that I can see from my perspective that it can be more and more challenging. Yeah. But what type of problem is that? Is that the current models that do detection versus generation are not as accurate? Is it a data problem? I don't even know if you need, let's say, sample data or like data to go off of. Is there not enough data? What type of problem is it?
It's a combination of all the things you mentioned. It's all about data as well. I don't believe more data will solve all the problems that you have. Definitely not. It will also maybe even bias your systems in a certain way. The challenge comes with, first of all these different deepfake generation types out there, these methods and techniques. The second one is also, once a fraudster has really this intention of doing something, they won't stop with using only one method. For example, the insurance use case, there is also it's really, even in the Netherlands, it's booming. It was on the news, I think, recently that someone managed to get 150,000 euros, basically, because he was able to show that he couldn't go on his 30K vacation. It was from 5 or 6 even insurances. And then he had this Gen AI made doctor proof that he has been sick, so he couldn't go therefore he needed to cancel. So insurance, pay my money back.
Yeah.
And of course, you go ahead and generate this type of, proof with maybe ChatGPT or some other tools that you have developed yourself based on open source things. But then you won't stop there. You will also maybe use like a signature to put it there. So you'll go ahead and do other types of modifications as well. So that's one of the challenges, for example. The other one is what happens if, for example, when it comes to the news and media use case, what happens if a video that has been made gets forwarded on WhatsApp and other social media channels many times, causing it to have a worse resolution. And in that sense, the image is then, or the video is not of a good quality anymore. And when the quality drops, specifically if you have like dark videos with no light or small faces in it, it becomes challenging to detect them. So those are purposefully, I think, activities that people can do to make it more challenging to be able to detect a deepfake in that sense. And there are also, of course, adversarial attacks happening. So that means that basically, if they know how to fool your system, so if they somehow have an idea of how deepfake detection works, they can go ahead and basically use your own strategy against you to put it there to fool you to think something is a deepfake or not a deepfake, basically. So it's complicated. Data is there to help, but it's also not everything, I would say. So it's a combination of threat intelligence, seeing what is needed, really focusing. Also, as a startup, once we started, you need to focus. There needs to be a focus. Right now we are scaling. We have worldwide clients from Singapore to Brazil to US, in Europe, of course, as well. So being this company in deepfake detection, one of the industry leaders, it's also, again, requires, focusing on in a balanced way, because we want to scale up, of course, also when it comes to developing our own platform, being able to also detect those videos of those birds you mentioned. But then again, it needs focus along the way as well. So the milestones need to be focused. And that's, I would say, maybe the biggest challenge that we have, that goes also maybe for every startup out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, my assumption is that your software is slightly different, right? Because yours needs to have a certain level of accuracy.
Exactly.
If you label something as deepfake and it's not a deepfake, then it's even worse reputationally.
Yeah.
So you can't put out a half-baked product.
No.
And then you also have a very complex domain in that if you do reconnaissance and you go on the dark web, I don't know. All my knowledge of like police and what is legal, illegal, a lot of it comes from TV. So I don't know how much of that is legal or illegal, You're maybe on the borderline there. So it's also very hard to actually, like, if I were you, I cannot, my assumption is, go and ask for a fake bank account. That doesn't make any sense. So I would never be able to experience the real good customer service that some fraudulent people offer. Yeah. But then you also don't know what type of new attacks are out there. Yeah. But you do need to know that because you're creating preventative software. So it's like very challenging in many aspects.
That's true, yeah.
But it also, I think, makes it a very interesting playing field to play at.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting. It's about, again, monitoring, threat intelligence, following different sources to know indeed what is the newest that they use, and also making our systems explainable. So when it comes to really sensitive use cases, we do have, for example, clients in Singapore as well, and those are defense agencies. There are cases that are quite highly sensitive. So in that sense, we don't tell them, oh, just trust our technology. We are honest with them. We say, this is the accuracy that we can offer, 95%, let's say. This is the recall and the false rejection rate. Also important to know, of course. And if the case is highly sensitive, we can help you with basically manual expert analysis as well, based on our forensic, basically, expertise and knowledge to be able to validate the output of our technology. So that works for use cases that are highly sensitive and volume-wise not so big. So occasional use cases that can happen. When it comes to, for example, banks, flows, or social media content, that's, of course, about huge volumes. But the chance and the risk appetite there is also, of course, different than the one, for example, the defense agency in Singapore has.
Yeah, I can see that. If there's a person that's responsible more from an organization standpoint, what is some low-hanging fruit that organizations can use or adopt to have some preventative measures with regards to this?
So when it comes to Gen AI-based fraud, our technology, for example, to give basically an impression of it, is really easily to be deployed, really easily to be basically put there to monitor your existing data, production data. And that already is a great step in knowing to what scope you're already dealing with the problem. It could be there at a big scale. It could also be not there yet, or only a couple of them. But we see still, so first we had to educate around what is a deepfake. And now we still do a lot of education regarding basically what is the scope of the problem that you're dealing with right now because of Gen AI-based fraud. And that's a question that still a lot of companies haven't found an answer to.
Yeah. What about the consumer side? So you already mentioned that. Some of my two-factor authentication, which I thought was really good, Face ID, Voice ID in some cases, are compromised, and I understand that now. What can consumers do, or what do they need to pay attention to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So consumers are, I would say, when it comes to your bank or your Apple ID iPhone, I would say it's the responsibility of the bank or the company behind it to make it secure, of course. Consumers are attacked by different types of deepfakes, like the ones on social media, the ones that you can expect a call from a loved one. And then again, one of the challenges that I mentioned along this conversation was we don't know who's responsible for what. So I would say when it comes to banks, they're definitely responsible not to let a deepfake fool their systems. But when it comes to, for example, getting this call through WhatsApp, then I would say Meta is also responsible. But then Meta can say, no, the person who received the call should be aware and not accept that. And then you go to the police saying, I got scammed. The police says, yeah, but how are we supposed to find this person? They are professional criminals. And so in that sense, there is still not really, I would say, clear image, clear strategy for the society where to start basically coming up with a solution for this big problem.
Yeah. Also feels like kind of a gap in the market, right? Because right now, maybe consumers are not really aware of fraudulent behavior or compromises or risks that they're also not like targets necessarily, maybe on a more smaller scale. But then when big problems happen, if there is a piece of software that all of a sudden says, okay, no, that's our responsibility, and we'll make sure that when you use that, that's not going to happen, then that's all of a sudden like a USP that would differentiate, if we're talking about a chat or a voice or video calling service, something from WhatsApp where Meta says, okay, it's just your own responsibility. That's very interesting.
It's really interesting because I think it happened quite recently, a couple of months ago, that I think Facebook had something that they would require you to say if your content that you would upload is Gen AI or not.
Yeah. YouTube also does that.
Yeah, but I think Facebook has removed it.
Okay.
I was like, wow, and it specifically happened after the new administration in the US. And then I also get questions like, do you have any interest in, or any benefit by letting deepfakes on your platform that can mislead people? I understand the funny ones; they're nice. I also watch them.
There's hilarious ones.
Yeah, but the but the other ones then, like the really fraudulent ones. So in that sense, I also don't know what really these big tech companies have as as their strategy when it comes to fake content.
Yeah, I have no clue. I mean, fake content is super cool. I saw this, I think it must have been like 5 seconds. Someone made it and it wasn't even for that company. It was like an IKEA ad where there's a big box and all of a sudden there's an empty room and it explodes and there's IKEA furniture everywhere. Super cool. Super great marketing for IKEA. This person was not affiliated with IKEA, made it with Google VO and spent X amount of money and then that's it. Video blew up.
Yeah.
Super great.
It's really nice.
It becomes really scary if like those super cool things happen for fraudulent things.
Yeah, exactly.
And sadly, that's reality.
Yeah, I think even McDonald's had themselves made a fully AI generated ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good to hop on something like that from a marketing perspective.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. You also see like a new type of course, influencers are relatively a new type of industry and job, but there are right now also fully AI influencers. Then you would see like a Swedish looking girl, let's say. They also say like they have a personality. Like I'm Diana from, I don't know, Stockholm. And then they go around the world. They have nice clothes. And it's basically like a teenager in their room behind this Diana, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's becoming really prominent as well. They have millions of followers on TikTok, on Instagram. And yeah, it's nice to see. But again, like personally, I'm questioning what is the purpose behind, following such an account or even making this account. They could be making money, I understand, but like following an AI account which has nice pictures. Could also be nice to see. I don't know, but I was questioning that a bit.
I understand that. Like for me, I never was interested in like Instagram and stuff like that. But the fact that you're following, let's say, an AI person versus a person that you know exists, but you don't really know who that person is. You've just seen them online. Like it's quite close to each other, I would say. One just lives in the real world and one doesn't, but
true.
they do the same thing.
Yeah. I think there was one, that's a really sad example. There was one teenager who thought that he fell in love with such an AI person. And I think like, it was also like maybe a ChatGPT-ish AI that would talk to this person, to this teenager. He was 14 years old, I think. And eventually he committed suicide because he wanted to go to his beloved girlfriend, AI girlfriend. And the mother was of course devastated. And she was like, you know, ChatGPT did this to my son, because the AI would say, come to me, you know, I'm here. And the person just,
Yeah. There's no possibility.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I also feel like with consumers, and right now this is not a problem, but if I were to go and I'm victim of fraud, if I go to the police, I don't know if they're well equipped to help me. I don't know what cybersecurity capabilities are.
Yeah.
Already now I feel like we have too many people with too many issues for already the current police system.
Yeah.
Add something like a digital layer on top of it. I would love to call like a cyber police hotline, but it's not there.
Yeah.
I think we need something. If this becomes a bigger problem and like more towards the consumer rather than the people that create the apps for consumers, then we need something like that with regards to defense.
Exactly. The police are really specifically in the Netherlands. They are super busy when it comes to cyber criminality and, you know, cyber attacks. I don't know what they're doing right now, because they could do takedown requests. There are also specific hotlines for that, to do a takedown request when it comes to, for example, 18 plus videos of someone non-consensually. But what happens after, because the video can also be already circulating in social media channels and maybe even in WhatsApp chats or Telegram chats, it's indeed like a big skill of, it's a quite fast speed of sharing material, even if it's a deepfake. And then at that point, I'm not sure indeed what the police can do. I don't know.
Have you, because I'm not aware of any of these cases, but my assumption is usually it's someone close to a person, right? If there's something that's deepfake of a specific person, it might be someone in a close circle of friends or family that just doesn't like this person, or something happened.
Yeah.
Is that usually the case?
That's true. If it's a non-celebrity or non-PEP, then politically exposed person, then it's indeed either a classmate that doesn't like this person, or they think that they're funny. Or also like people who have ended their relationships, their romantic relationships have ended, and right now they're enemies. And then they deepfake, mostly also like the girl, but also the boy can get deepfaked. And it's also used sometimes for blackmailing purposes, which is also really bad, of course.
That's quite messed up. Yeah. I must say I have learned a lot. I knew there was depth to this, but there's much more depth to this than I think. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing, Parya. This was a lovely conversation.
Thank you for having me, Patrick.
Yeah. I'm going to round it off here. Normally the camera's on this side, but we switched. Thank you so much for listening. Leave a like if you liked the episode. Let us know in the comment section what you thought, and we'll see you on the next one.